Hey, Greg, how's it going? I forgot my hat, buddy.
You did forget it, but I've got mine and I've got another one next to me. So it's like you're wearing it. It's just not on your head. How
Oh,
about that?
man. I woke up, but grab that nailed hat for those LS1 promos. So, what's happening, man? I heard you and Scott were working in my studio without me.
We're recording some videos on the LS programs and we thought about it. And you know what? Now's a great time to do it. A lot of people are quarantined or stuck in
Great
their office,
idea.
stuck in their home without a lot, maybe potentially to do, or a lot of question marks on what's going on. But something you can't question is your professionalism, your lighting career. Continue on with it, advance with it, take some LS courses. Now is a great time to do it.
Fully
We have three of
virtual.
them.
Fully virtual.
Fully virtual. That's right. You got LS1, it's kind of your
Hmm.
basics or a good refresher. You got lighting controls, which is a great overview of lighting controls. You need to know about that if you're going to be a lighting professional. And then if you really get in advance and maybe potentially get to that LC someday, take the LS2. LS2 gives you the stepping stone you need to successfully take and pass the LC exam, which should be a goal of yours if you want to become a true lighting professional as well. So because of that, because you have the time, because you might be quarantined, we're running a special on these programs. We're going to give 10% off to all nailed.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Who
that's right.
authorized that? Ooh, tough.
We did it right here, right now.
Whoa.
So 10% off on these courses for all nailed members and iMark members. And the only way you can get it, though, is you have to email the nailed office. And that's info@nailed.org, INFO at sign, NAILD.org. If you email there, talk to Sarah, ask her that you want to do the quarantine special or whatever special you want to just say 10% off because you're sitting at home right now. You want to develop your career, get advanced. We'll give it to you.
Now, for now, listen to this little recap of each of the nail courses. Or, you know what? Just bypass it all and email her right now, info@nail.org. But Greg's going to go through each course. Maybe you want to take LS controls. Maybe you already done LS1. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Go for it. Thanks for listening, folks.
Hey, are you new to the lighting industry or do you need a refresher? The Nailed LS1 course might be the one for you. It combines online learning with offline activities and it brings you from 0 to 60 in the shortest amount of time possible for a lighting course. You can do this in a group as well. A lot of times, companies that we work with have done groups of employees and gone through it in a process, and it works out well. It gets everybody a good overview of what the lighting industry is about, where you're heading, where you need to be successful. So let's dive into LS1 and what it all entails. There are 8 different modules, and at the conclusion, you have a final exam and you get a certificate. So all exciting stuff. Going into module 1, we have light and lighting, a course overview. It really tells you about getting ready for the future, how to take the course, why study light and lighting, and where you are in the light delivery system. That can be confusing, and this all breaks it down for you. So it gets you a good understanding in it. And I think you'll find out if you're going to be in lighting that you might be in this for the long run. So it's good to understand all this. A lot of people, once they're in lighting, stay in lighting, and you'll find that in the industry. Module 2 is an introduction to sources. Now, there's more to lighting than LED. As much as you might think everything is LED, a lot of it's going that way, but there are other sources to consider and understand that this module dives into and explains everything out there for you. Module 3, lighting is a science. You're going to find that out in this module. And the next one, it talks about what is light? How do we see? Where does color come from? The color temperature and CRI. It dives into everything you need to know to understand that. And module 4 gives you how we see. Now it talks about how the eye works, the factors affecting our ability to see, the eye and the task and the environment. It dives into all the science behind it so you really truly understand how we see lighting. Module 5 gives you the LED basics. And I mentioned that at the beginning there that not everything is LED, but a lot of it's going that way. So you need to understand the basics. And this module gives you everything that's needed to understand what LEDs are. How do they create light? What affects their performance? What types of light do they produce? It talks about lumens. And it also has a treasure hunt where you got to go out and actually find these sources in the field. You'll see that's one of the activities that's unique to this course that you'll see throughout the different modules and a nice way to really get a true understanding of what LED is all about. Module 6 is Filament Sources to LED. Filament source is one of the original lighting sources out there, the incandescent light bulb halogens. and it talks about all the different shapes and sizes and what the lumens and the sockets are and the terminology, everything you need to understand so that you can successfully convert that filament source, if you choose to LED. This explains how to do that. Module 7 is the same kind of concept, but this is fluorescent sources. One of the most prominent sources that are out there in the market, especially in the commercial marketplace, is a fluorescent. And it gives you the idea of what lamps and ballasts and luminaires, how they create light, the difference between drivers and ballasts, and then comparing fluorescent and LED systems to each other. Module 8 is HID sources to LED, another common source you will see a lot in exterior lighting, sometimes in the interior still. And it talks about converting that to LED. It talks about the lamps and lumens and luminaires, how they create light, comparing systems, and then even some control basics with that. So all important items that you need to understand if you want to be successful in lighting. And once you get through those 8 modules, you conclude with a final exam. And if you pass that final exam, then you get a certificate of completion and you can start using the LS1 designation in your signature on business cards or your email address. And it will show that you've taken your career to the next step, the next level, and you are now LS1 certified. It's crucial for everyone in the lighting industry to understand the basics of lighting controls. Whether you sell them or are going to sell them or going to promote them, you still need to understand it to truly be a lighting professional. And the Nailed LSC course gives you that overview to understand what lighting controls are about and what you need to know to talk to them about with your customers. And the best thing about it is that it's not proprietary to one system. You're going to find out that a lot of lighting controls have unique aspects to a certain brand. This course is brand agnostic. It goes through lighting controls as a basic and a general overview of what you need to go through. This is a shorter course with only 4 modules, but it does give you the best background you can get in lighting controls. The first module is an introduction to lighting controls. It talks about the basics, the strategies, zoning, which you're going to find out is very important to understand if you're going to get into lighting controls, and then what makes a control solution effective. So it gives you that background that you need to take the next step in getting into lighting controls. Module 2 is controlling light sources. It gets into switching and dimming. Talks about just controlling light sources as a whole. Are you going to put it on a sensor, a vacancy sensor, a photo cell, whatever you might end up doing? It gets into that. And then matching the controls to the light sources. Believe it or not, some sources don't dim, and you need to make sure you have the right dimmer if they are going to be a dimmable light, or that they can dim. This talks about all the options that it can do with lighting controls and the sources. Module 3 is control equipment. This breaks down the different options that there are. There's going to be occupancy sensors, control panels, light sensors, dimming, intelligent lighting controls, which you've probably heard a lot about. This will dive into that. Device communications and protocols. Is it Bluetooth? Is it mesh? Bluetooth mesh? Is it Wi-Fi? What might it be? It talks about the different options there. The future of light, and then selecting the right equipment. And then it concludes with module 4, and that's system architecture. This is really putting it all together. Now you have the light source, you have the control. How are you actually going to control this light in that application? Chapter 1 talks about device communication and protocols, and it gets into system architecture. Then the advanced control strategies, which you can get into daylighting and things like that we'll discuss. And then system integration, and finalizing it with selecting the right equipment, because if you're going to get into lighting controls, you'll find out that you want to do it right. Otherwise, you're going to be in for a big headache. This course will give you the best background you can get in the starting of lighting controls. And at the conclusion, you do have a final exam as well. And once you are through that final exam and pass, you can use the LSC appellation on your email signature or business card. Another step in becoming a true lighting professional. Have you completed your Nailed LS1 certificate and your Nailed LSC, and maybe you have a couple years of experience in lighting and you're ready to take the next step, potentially get your LC someday? The LS2 course is, hands down, the best course you can do to prepare for that LC. Even if you don't want to get the LC, you want to advance your knowledge, LS2 is for you. It's called Developing Applied Lighting Sales Skills, but don't let the word sales scare you. You don't have to be in sales to take this course. Everybody at the end of the day is in sales, so that's why it's called that, because you need to understand what it takes to really sell your product and your value. And that's what LS2 is going to do. So if you're going to be a true professional and be in lighting for the long term and you're ready for this next step, get into LS2. There are 9 modules and a final exam in this course, and we're going to dive into those. So module 1 of LS2 is building a framework for really a successful career as a true lighting professional. And similar to LS1, this is going to combine online modules with offline activities and even more activities than you did in LS1. There's going to be quizzes at the end of each chapter as well, and then a final exam as we talked about. So module 1 talks about choosing a proven path, the different tools and techniques you need to understand, resources that are available, and then to finalize really developing a plan for success. Because if you're doing this course, you have a good step in the right direction of being successful in lighting. Module 2 is creating value with your customer. Now, this is more important than ever now. There's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of options for our customers. So you need to understand how you're going to stand out and how you're going to really truly create value so that people buy lighting from you. Chapter 1 puts people first. It uncovers what matters. Talks about the lighting design process, which is often lost, unfortunately, in lighting today. You need to understand that there is lighting design, and it's important to know that. And it's important to consider that when you're speccing systems. And then chapter 4 is becoming a lighting professional. Gets into all that you need to know to understand that. Module 3 is building a framework. Now it talks about why do people act, understanding the role of sustainability, what are the obstacles of action, and using the value pyramid. And there's, as we know in the LED lighting market especially, there's a lot of junk out there. And you need to be able to stand out and show why your product is quality, why what you're doing is better than others, so that, again, you can get the sale, because that's what this is all about. Module 4 is tools and techniques. There's 2 parts to it. It's going to talk about lumen method of calculation, point source method of calculation, and financial calculators. Now, there's computer programs that can do all this, but at the end of the day, it's a computer doing it. You never really know how it happens or how the calculation comes out. This module actually breaks it down for you so you can manually do it. Maybe you want to get into that. You can manually do it after you go through all this, and you don't have to rely on the computer. Sure, the computer's faster, but to get a true understanding, take this module. Then part 2 gets into codes and regulations and the proposal. As we know, there are a lot of different codes and regulations in lighting, so you need to understand that if you're going to be putting together a proposal, and that's what this is all about. The proposal is getting someone to buy the lighting that you're going to specify. So it really defines what you need to do, what you need to understand, what you need to talk about to have a successful proposal in lighting. LS200X is the application module prep, and that talks about utilizing the IES handbook. Now, the IES handbook has been around since 1947. That's 70 years. That's 613,000 hours that this handbook has been around. You need to understand it if you're going to be in lighting. It's there for a reason. And this module breaks down what you need to know about the handbook, how you need to understand it when you're specifying lighting. It goes through 5 different chapters on really diving into it and getting a good understanding of it. So utilize the IES handbook. This module will break that down for you. Then you get into module 5, which is a practicum. Now, this is not a module you start at the beginning and just complete it and get it done with. It's something that you're going to work with for the rest of the course. So you're starting it off here, and this is really taking a project from inception to proposal. So you're going to specify, you're going to pick a project you're actually working on in the field right now, something that you have, and you're going to lay it all out. The module will tell you everything you need to do, and then you're going to take it from the inception all the way to the proposal using the methods you've learned in LS2. So hold that thought with the practicum as we go, because the next 4 modules are application-based, starting with number 6. That's the applied lighting for retail. Now, you might say, I'm not into retail lighting, or I'm not doing it, but guess what? If you're going to be in lighting for a long time, which I hope you are if you're taking this course, there's a chance you might be someday. Your role will change and can change, and you might get into retail. So you need to understand it. And this talks about all the unique characteristics of a retail facility and what they consider when they're looking at lighting. It's different than other applications, so you need to understand all of that. 5 different chapters again, all dedicated to retail. And back to the practicum, if your project is a retail project, you're going to be able to tie it in nicely. If it's not a retail project, it most likely will be one of the next few modules that we get into. Module 7 is applied lighting for offices. Now, that's a very important field you need to understand. If you're going to get into office lighting, there's a lot of different aspects that go into it. You're dealing with a lot of different people, so you need to pick the right system. You need to do it right. You need to take all of these steps that you're learning in LS2 and do it right for the office lighting. You're going to have to understand how to create value with your customer, motivating your customer to act, learning the variety of lighting tools and techniques that go into office lighting. So unique to offices. And again, back to the practicum, this could be your application module that you relate it to. Then you go on to module 8, and that's applied lighting for industrial. So now we're looking at an industrial facility. What causes them to act? What are they looking for when they talk about lighting? It's different than retail and it's different than office. I mean, there's some aspects that will be the same, but as a whole, it is very different lighting. So you need to understand that. And again, you can relate that to your practicum. Maybe you're picking an industrial customer. This module will be perfect to help you through that. And then the final module, application-based module, is education facilities. Again, a whole different mindset when you get into an education facility than an industrial, office, or retail. They make their decisions based on other criteria oftentimes. So you need to understand what it takes to be successful at lighting education facilities, and this module will do that. And again, this could relate to your practicum, and you could tie it in nicely to that. So one of those 4 application modules will relate to your practicum, but do all 4 of them because you need to understand it. Even if you don't think you're gonna, someday you might. So get through that, then that will complete your LS2 course. You take a final exam, just like LS1, just like LSC, and upon completion, now you're LS2 certified. You put that on your email, your business card, and you're an advanced lighting professional, and you're ready for that next and final step in being a true lighting professional is at LC. So perfect stepping stone for it, perfect prep course for it. Get ready to take it. We're happy to have you. Thanks.